8.3, the distance formula. So the distance formula is to find on a coordinate plane the distance between 2 points. Our 2 points, if we look at our picture, is point A and point B, which can be represented by x1, y1 and x2, y2. If we want to find the distance between these 2 points, then the distance formula is the distance AB equals the square root of the quantity x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus the quantity y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Now, where this is really coming from is it's actually coming from the Pythagorean theorem. And the Pythagorean theorem, if you remember, is for a right triangle. And on the Pythagorean theorem, we have a leg, we can have another leg, and then we have a hypotenuse. So if we want to find the length of the hypotenuse, we could take a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And really what we would be doing here is we could take the square root of both sides, and essentially you would be getting this distance, which is up here represented by our x coordinates and our y coordinates. Now let's try that on example 1. Your school is 4 miles east and 1 mile south of your apartment. A recycling center where your class is going on a field trip is 2 miles east and 3 miles north of your apartment. Part A, estimate the distance between the recycling center and your school. So first of all, it's taking everything and it's making it from our apartment. So we're going to say that our apartment is here at the origin, which is at 0, 0. The next thing we're going to have to remember is our north, south, east, and west. So if you forgot north, south, east, and west, and it says that the school is 4 miles east, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 mile south of the apartment, and this is our school. Then it tells us that the recycling center is 2 miles east, so 1, 2, and 3 miles north, 1, 2, 3, and this is the recycling center. And then for part A, it says estimate the distance between the recycling center and your school. So we're trying to find this distance. Now, if I look at that, this point up here for our recycling center is at 2, 3. If I look at my school, this is at 4, negative 1. If I look at the distance formula says I have to take the square root of my x minus x, square that, and then add it to my y minus y and square that. Keep in mind when you're subtracting your x's and subtracting your y's, you have to be consistent on your order just like we did with slope. So my x coordinates, first of all, I have a 2 and a 4. So I'm going to take 2 subtract 4 squared plus my y's, I have a 3 and a negative 1. So 3 minus negative 1. And don't forget to double up on your negative. If we simplify this a little bit, I'm going to keep the square root. I'm going to have 2 minus 4 is negative 2 squared plus 3 minus a negative. Keep in mind that's going to change to a positive, which is going to get me 4 squared. If we simplify this a little bit more, negative 2 squared is positive 4, plus 4 squared is 16, which is going to give us the square root of 20. And then using a calculator, if we approximate that, we're going to get 4.47 miles. Part B. A park is 3 miles east and 4 miles south of your apartment. So keep in mind your apartment is still at the origin. So we're going to go 3 miles east and 4 miles south. And this is a park. Find the distance between the park and your school. So now we're trying to find from here to there. We already know the school is at 4, -1. If you look at your park, this is now at 3, -4. If I'm using my distance formula, the distance is the square root, and then we're going to take our x minus x. So this time I'm going to take the x coordinate of 4 and subtract 3. Square that, plus y minus y. So -1 minus -4. And don't forget the double negative. If we simplify that one a little bit, 4 minus 3 is 1, so we have 1 squared, plus, keep in mind, these two are really going to go to positive, so that's going to give me a 3 squared. We still have our square root. 1 squared is 1, plus 3 squared is 9, which gives us the square root of 10. And then if we use our calculator and simplify that, we get approximately 3.16 miles. Part C. You bicycle 5 miles east and 2 miles north of your apartment. So 5 miles east and 2 miles north of your apartment to a friend's house. So this is your friend. Estimate the distance between your friend's house and your school. So school, friend's house. Now, the first way we can do this is we can use the distance formula again, and our friend's house is at 5, 2. But really what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some triangles and notice what's happening. Do you notice that in order to get from the park to the school, you have to go over 1 and up 3? Well, do you notice in order to get from the school to your friend's house, you have to go over 1 and up 3? Except we're not really going over 1 and up 3, we're going this slanted distance. But if you think about your Pythagorean theorem and how it relates to the distance formula, if you're going over 1 and up 3 to get from the park to school and over 1 and up 3 from the school to get to your friend's house, really these are the same distance. So I really don't have to calculate again. I already know that it's 3.16 miles.